Hi and welcome back. In this video we'll be talking about opening a DWG with Paperspace layout, hatches, and blocks. Now here we have a typical DWG open in AutoCAD 2007. It's typical in that it has a layer structure, and of course it also has a model space. This particular file also has one Paperspace layout called S1. Of course a Paperspace layout has a page setup, a sheet size, maybe even a plot style applied to it. And we want to open that DWG up in Impression, and we'll go File, Open, and navigate to the file. There's really no magic to this, but before it opens we have some options, and you'll notice that the model space and the Paperspace are listed. The model space has no page layout, so it would be scaled to fit. If I wanted to open the model space, I would have to choose a sheet size that I wanted it to open onto from a list, or I could just choose the Paperspace layout, which already has a sheet size applied to it, and it also has a plot style applied to it, but I'm going to select none so that all my line work comes in black. Now also, if we expand the expand arrow, you'll see that there's some other options to choose while you're opening a DWG file. So the file opens and the page layout size is appropriate, and it also comes in, of course, with all the layers. Now let's zoom into some of the hatching that came in with this DWG file. Hatching has always been an important part of making a presentation drawing using just plain AutoCAD. Impression understands that hatch and creates a style out of it. And of course, since it's a style, you have the ability to edit that style. So you can fiddle with things like the scale, and you can play with the type of media that the line work in the hatch is made from, adjust things like the line weight, and various other controls that you have in every style in Impression. Now, a cool thing is that you can also add elements to the hatch, so expanding the ability or the value of the hatch, if you will, well beyond what it was intended. In this case, we're going to put in a colored fill, and again, since it is a style, I can change this color of this fill to look just the way I want it to, and then save that style to be used other places. So we can take a drawing that looks like this in AutoCAD and turn it into something that looks like this in Impression. Now let's look at a landscape file. So another piece of CAD data that Impression understands is also your blocks. Now here we have lots of blocks of trees and plantings that are just right now symbols that represent that, and we need to stylize those, make those look a little bit more appropriate for an illustration. So as we open the blocks palette, we can see that we have those blocks. They're the in-use blocks, and we have some other stylized blocks that are saved but haven't been placed on the illustration yet. But Impression also comes with a whole bunch of entourage in external libraries that could be stored locally or on a server that you can choose from, and you can also navigate to your own IRF file. That's the Impression file, and you can highlight it and then copy that to the list of external files to have as a library to choose from all the time. Or you could also select an individual file and select individual blocks from within that file, and then copy just those selected blocks to your saved blocks palette, and that way you can use them and they'll be saved within this particular illustration file. Now, how are we going to change all of our symbols into nice stylized blocks? We do that with what's called block substitution. So block substitution allows you to take stylized blocks and apply them to blocks of a similar name, and substitute all of those blocks with that name with a stylized block. So for example, I can drag this shrub onto this symbol that represents a shrub, and it asks me, do I want to substitute all those? And I say yes, and literally hundreds of blocks can be substituted at one time with one click. Some of the other options you have while you're substituting blocks are things like scale of the block, so if you want to change the size of the block as you drag it on. And there's also other controls for variation, like do I want to vary the scale a little bit or vary the rotation a little bit as it's placed. So using block substitution, you can save yourself a lot of time substituting myriad of blocks, all with just a couple of clicks.